What if I told you that in WWE, the people you see the least can sometimes be the ones getting paid the most, and the ones carrying entire shows might be earning way less than you'd expect? Yeah, that's exactly what you came here for. And trust me, by the time we hit the top of this list, you're going to start questioning how this entire system even makes sense. WWE's New Era didn't just flip the visuals, upgrade the stages, or shift storytelling into something faster and more cinematic. It quietly reshaped something even more important, the way money flows behind the curtain. Because in this business, salary isn't just about grinding every week or putting your body on the line night after night. It's about impact. It's about moments. It's about whether you can make people care in seconds. And sometimes it's about things that don't even make sense at first glance. So now we're diving straight into it, peeling back the numbers and exposing who's really cashing in big. And starting things off, number 10 brings us Braun Strowman, pulling in around $450,000. Now, think about that for a second. Nearly $500,000 for a guy whose main job was to walk out, look terrifying, and absolutely destroy whoever stood in front of him. Whether it was tossing smaller opponents around like they weighed nothing, or turning certain unlucky names into highlight reels, Braun's role was simple but effective. And yeah, it might sound ridiculous on paper, but WWE wasn't paying for complexity, they were paying for presence. Every time Braun showed up, there was this feeling that something chaotic was about to happen. That unpredictability, that's what the money was for. Of course, when you're earning that kind of salary, people are going to notice everything. From his look to his presentation, nothing escapes attention. But jokes aside, maintaining that size alone is practically a full-time job. The food, the training, the effort, it's not something casual. It's a commitment that matches the paycheck. What really makes this salary stand out is how fast it came. Within just a year of being on the main roster, Braun was already earning like a featured attraction. That tells you everything about how strongly WWE believed in him. They saw someone who could create moments instantly, and they paid accordingly. Then, at number 9, things take a turn that feels off. Sasha Banks comes in at $150,000. And right away you can feel the imbalance, because this wasn't someone floating in the background. Sasha was a centerpiece of the women's division, someone who could walk out and immediately shift the energy of a show. Her matches mattered, her presence mattered. She wasn't just filling time, she was elevating it. And when WWE needed something big, something emotional, something that could carry weight, Sasha was often the one they turned to. She even main evented a pay-per-view. Think about that. Not just featured, not just highlighted, the main event. That's the spot, the one that closes the night, the one that sells the show. So when you hear $150,000, it doesn't quite line up. It feels like a number meant for someone still waiting to break through, not someone already proving they belong at the top. And yeah, in most worlds, that's still a huge salary. But in WWE terms, with that level of impact, it feels surprisingly low. And if that already feels strange, the next name only makes it more confusing. At number 8, Rosa Mendes sits at $220,000. And now you're probably doing a double take, because compared to Sasha, this number feels completely flipped. Rosa had her moments, sure. She appeared alongside different acts, had stretches where she was visible, but she was never really pushed as a major star. She wasn't positioned as someone carrying storylines or headlining big moments. There were long gaps where she barely appeared at all, times when you'd have to really think hard just to remember the last time she was on screen. So how does that number make sense? The answer lies in something WWE values more than fans often realize: longevity. Rosa had been with the company for years, and in that time she did everything required. The travel, the appearances, the behind-the-scenes roles that don't always get recognized. That kind of tenure builds up. It leads to contract increases, steady raises, and eventually a salary that looks surprising from the outside. She wasn't being paid for current spotlight, she was being paid for years of commitment. Still, it's one of those cases that makes you pause. Now, moving into number 7, everything jumps dramatically. Seth Rollins lands at $2.4 million. And just like that, we're in a completely different world. This is where WWE starts investing heavily in reliability. Seth wasn't just another top guy, he was someone who could do everything. Main events, technical matches, emotional storytelling, villain roles, hero roles, it didn't matter. If WWE needed someone to stabilize a show, Seth was the answer. If they needed someone to deliver under pressure, same answer. And that consistency is rare. It's the kind of thing companies pay big money for, because one bad segment can drag everything down, but someone like Seth keeps the quality high no matter what. What makes this even more interesting is how he compared to his Shield teammates. At this point, Seth was actually earning more than Roman Reigns. That alone tells you how much WWE placed in him. He wasn't just important, he was dependable in a way that justified every dollar. Then at number 6, Dean Ambrose comes in at $1.1 million. And here's where things get complicated. Because $1.1 million is incredible, no question about it. But when you stack it next to Seth Rollins' $2.4 million and Roman Reigns' position, it creates a noticeable gap. And Dean wasn't lacking presence, far from it. He had a completely unique energy, wild, unpredictable, impossible to ignore. He brought something different to the table, something raw, something unfiltered that connected with fans in a way that didn't feel manufactured. He felt real in a world that often feels scripted. But WWE saw roles differently. Seth was the workhorse, Roman was the face, and Dean was just slightly below in their hierarchy, not because he lacked ability, but because of how the company chose to structure its top stars. It's not about talent, it's about positioning. And that difference shows up clearly in the numbers. Still, for someone with his style, maybe that gap didn't matter as much. Dean always felt like the kind of person who would shrug it off, laugh it off, and keep doing things his own way without chasing approval or trying to fit into a specific mold. At number 5, Big Show pulls in $1.5 million. And even as his appearances became less frequent, that number stayed strong. This is where WWE's long-standing preference becomes obvious. They value giants, larger-than-life figures who instantly stand out the moment they appear. Big Show wasn't just tall, he was an attraction on his own, someone who could shift the tone of a segment just by being there, someone who didn't need speed or complexity to make an impact. He represented a different kind of spectacle. Even if he wasn't there every week, his presence alone had value. And WWE was willing to pay to keep that option available, because having someone like him ready at any moment adds flexibility to storytelling. It's like having a trump card you can play when you need to make something feel important instantly. Then at number 4, The Undertaker earns $2 million. And honestly, this one feels almost expected. Because with him, it was never about frequency, it was about moments. One appearance could completely change the energy of an entire show. The entrance alone created an experience that no one else could replicate. The silence, the slow walk, the reaction from the crowd, it all built into something bigger than just a match. It felt like an event every single time. He didn't need long promos or constant appearances. Just showing up was enough to remind everyone of his legacy. And that kind of presence is rare, almost impossible to recreate, because it takes decades to build. WWE wasn't paying for time, they were paying for history, for emotional connection, for a character that had become larger than wrestling itself. At number 3, things take a different turn with Kevin Dunn at $4.7 million, and this is where it shifts away from the ring. Dunn controlled how everything looked on screen, the camera angles, the cuts, the pacing, the overall feel of every show. Every reaction, every dramatic moment, every close-up you remember was shaped by decisions happening behind the scenes. And while fans might not always notice or appreciate that role, WWE clearly did. Because that salary places him above even some of the biggest names in the company. It's a reminder that presentation is power, because even the best performers rely on how they're shown to the audience. Without that control, the impact of those moments wouldn't feel the same. Then at number 2, John Cena reaches an incredible $9.5 million. And now we're in a completely different league. This isn't just about wrestling, this is about global influence. Cena wasn't just performing, he was representing WWE everywhere. From movies to interviews to merchandise to charity work, he became the face people recognized even outside wrestling. And that kind of visibility is priceless. He wasn't just drawing crowds inside arenas, he was bringing attention from outside audiences, which is something very few wrestlers ever achieve. And that level of influence comes with a massive price tag, because you're not just paying for performance, you're paying for reach, for recognition, for brand strength. He wasn't just part of WWE, he defined an entire era and carried the company through it. And finally, at number 1, Brock Lesnar earns $6 million. And this might be the most fascinating case of all, because Brock didn't follow the usual rules. He wasn't there every week. He didn't need weekly matches or constant storylines. Instead, he operated differently, like a rare event, someone who showed up only when it mattered most. And when he did, everything instantly felt bigger, more intense, more serious. His matches didn't feel routine, they felt like must-watch moments. There was always that unpredictability, that danger, that sense that anything could happen. And WWE understood that. They weren't paying for quantity, they were paying for that feeling, for that shift in energy that happens the moment he appears, for that sense that something massive is about to happen. And that's what makes this list so interesting. It's not about fairness, it's not about who works the most matches or spends the most time on screen. It's about perception, value, and timing. Because in WWE, the paycheck doesn't always match the workload. It matches the role you play, the reaction you create, and the importance you bring to the moment. Some create consistency, some create moments, and some create both. And that difference is what shapes everything. So now, the real question is, which one surprised you the most? And do you think these numbers truly reflect their value, or is there someone here who deserved more than what they got?